Welcome back to Monk of Matrix. I'm here to help you see beyond the illusion, to understand the patterns that shape reality itself. Right now, in 2025, we're not just witnessing change, we're living through one of history's rarest moments, a complete civilizational reset. Think of it like this. Most technology builds slowly. It's clunky, awkward, doesn't quite work. Then suddenly, boom, you get the iPhone moment, the tipping point where everything changes overnight and the old world becomes obsolete. What I'm about to show you is that we're not experiencing one tipping point. We're in the middle of three simultaneous revolutions that only happen once every 80 years. Before we dive into what's happening now, you need to understand the pattern, because if you've been following this channel, you know, the Matrix has patterns, reality has patterns, and those who see them can navigate what's coming. Throughout history, successful technologies follow what's called an adoption curve. Take Uber. At first, people thought, why would I order a car on my phone? But once enough early adopters proved it worked, the entire system flipped. Taxi companies, gone. The old system dismantled almost overnight. But here's what most people miss. This doesn't just happen with apps. It happens with entire civilizations. And America, along with the world, has been through this exact transformation 3 times before, always in these 80-year cycles, always lasting about 25 years of explosive innovation, always reshaping everything. Let's go back 80 years to 1945. World War II just ended. America is exhausted from the Great Depression and global conflict. The old economic system? Completely broken. But here's what nobody expected. What came next was the greatest economic boom in human history. From 1945 to 1970, just 25 years, America rebuilt everything. Built the interstate highway system, connecting the entire nation, created suburbs and transformed how people lived, launched the GI Bill, making higher education accessible to millions. This wasn't gradual improvement. This was a complete reimagining of society. New rules, new systems, new possibilities. But then by the 1970s, stagflation, oil shocks, the system started breaking down again. Because every system has a shelf life. Now go back another 80 years to 1865. The Civil War just ended. 750,000 Americans dead. The nation literally torn apart over 2 incompatible economic systems. The Old South fought to the death defending slavery. They couldn't imagine any other way. This is what always happens when systems collapse. Those invested in the old world will fight desperately to preserve it. But once that conflict resolved, America exploded with progress. The Homestead Act gave 150 acres of free land to anyone willing to go west. Land-grant universities were created to educate average people. 175,000 miles of railroad stitched the entire continent together with steel. In just 25 years, America reinvented itself from a fractured nation into an industrial superpower. Beginning to see the pattern? One more cycle back, 1787, America's founding era. This wasn't just the birth of a nation. This was part of a larger movement, the Enlightenment, that fundamentally transformed Western civilization. We went from feudal societies controlled by monarchies and the Catholic Church to inventing 6 revolutionary concepts that we still use today. Constitutional democracy, separation of church and state, individual rights, free market capitalism, scientific method as truth-seeking universal education. These ideas didn't just change America, they rewired how humans organize civilization itself. And here's the key insight from Monk of Matrix. Each 80-year cycle doesn't just change technology or politics, it changes the operating system of reality itself. So if the pattern holds, and the pattern always holds, what's happening right now? We're in year 0 of the 4th Great American Reinvention. And this time, 3 world historic technologies are converging simultaneously. Number 1, artificial intelligence. Number 2, clean energy. Number 3, bioengineering. Each one alone would be civilization changing. Together, We're talking about a transformation that makes previous cycles look small. Let me break down each one. November 2022. ChatGPT 3.5 launches. Most people thought it was just a cool chatbot, but those of us watching the patterns knew. This was the starting gun of the age of AI, and I use the word age deliberately. When we talk about humans entering the Bronze Age or the Iron Age, we're describing fundamental breakthroughs that permanently expanded human capabilities. Once you cross that threshold, you don't go back. AI is doing for our minds what the steam engine did for our muscles. The Industrial Revolution amplified our physical power with mechanical engines, and that created all the wealth and prosperity of the modern world. Now we're amplifying our mental power with digital intelligence, and the explosion of capability will be even more dramatic. Think about it. Every job, every industry, every creative pursuit, all of it gets augmented or replaced. We're not talking about the future. This is happening right now. And just like the steam engine, once people experience the power of AI assistance, they won't go back. The tipping point is here. Revolution number 2, clean energy. Here's what makes this different from every previous energy revolution. For the first time in human history, our primary energy source is a technology, not a commodity. We don't dig up solar power like coal. We don't drill for wind like oil. Why does this matter? Because technologies follow predictable cost curves. Every time you double manufacturing capacity, costs drop by about 20%. Solar panel costs have dropped 90% in the last decade. Battery costs, same trajectory. Electric vehicles, same pattern. And here's the key insight. This isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Within your lifetime, energy will be so abundant and cheap, it will essentially be free. Think about what that enables. Manufacturing costs. Collapsed transportation becomes nearly free. Developing nations leapfrog fossil fuels entirely. Climate change becomes solvable. Revolution number 3, bioengineering. About 15 years ago, we had two simultaneous breakthroughs. One was the early AI systems I mentioned. The other was CRISPR, a way to cheaply and easily edit the genome of any living thing. Let me give you one example of what's now possible. We can take a single cow cell, put it in a vat, give it the same nutrients a cow would get from years of grazing in a field, and grow actual meat, not plant-based fake meat, real meat, the same cells, the same proteins, the same taste. Or consider this. In 2003, it cost $3 billion and took 15 years to sequence the first human genome. Today, it costs $100. Soon it'll cost $50. Eventually, essentially nothing. When you can read and write the code of life as easily as we code software, you can design biological outcomes, eliminate genetic diseases, extend human lifespan dramatically, grow food without agriculture, create materials. Biology can produce better than factories. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because technology is just the foundation. What you build on top of these technologies determines what kind of world we get. The economic system we've been running, financial capitalism optimized for short-term profits, has worked great for the top 10%, especially the top 1%. But 80% of people, it's not working, and they've had enough. So we might be watching the early stages of a transition from pure financial capitalism to what we could call sustainable capitalism, an economy designed for long-term thriving, not short-term extraction. Similarly, we're moving from representative democracy, where you vote once every few years, to digital democracy, where engagement is continuous and participation is direct. And perhaps most dramatically, we're transitioning from a world of competing nation-states to some form of global coordination. Not world government, but systems that help 10 billion people on one planet cooperate on challenges that affect everyone. This is the level of change your generation will navigate. Not just new gadgets, new operating systems for civilization itself. So let's bring it all together. Every 80 years, America and the world go through a complete reinvention. The old systems break down. There's massive conflict and disruption. And then, in just 25 years, we build something entirely new. We've done it 3 times. 1787, built modern democracy and capitalism. 1865, built the industrial nation. 1945 built the post-war prosperity. Now it's 2025. We're at the beginning of the fourth cycle, and this time, we have AI, clean energy, and bioengineering converging simultaneously. The question isn't whether massive change is coming. The pattern makes that inevitable. The question is, do you see it coming? Are you preparing? And more importantly, are you participating in building what comes next? Because here at Monk of Matrix, we don't just observe the patterns, we help you navigate them. If this perspective resonates, subscribe, turn on notifications, join our community of pattern seekers who refuse to be passive spectators in history.
I was drowning in corporate pressure and anxiety. The Monk of Matrix showed me how the Bhagavad Gita could guide my daily decisions.